Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi-ho, and welcome back to D Plus Us Weekly, the show where we talk about Disney Plus exclusive shows episode by episode, week by week. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Tadell, Griffey D-Pad, and with me as always, the amazing, the fantastic, the marvelous Mr. Mitch George. How are you doing tonight?
Audio isn't recording on my side, so I'm trying to fix that, but that doesn't matter because we use yours anyway, so I'm good.
Doing good. Yeah, we are back with more Secret Invasion episode 3, Betrayal. We are going to be talking about this in full spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, go watch it and come right on back. But before we jump in, let me hit y'all with the rigmarole. Of course, folks, we have so much happening here on the channel, particularly on our YouTube channel. Go and check out some of the fantastic stuff we have up right now. Our last episode, full episode, was on Elemental. We will be putting one up soon for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny when we can get around to recording it. We've also...
So when it hits Disney Plus in like 4 to 6 months.
It is our next episode. We've promised it is our next episode. We're not spending 4 months in between episodes. Also up right now is our full 40-minute long video essay all about Disney's lawsuit against DeSantis.
It's not ours. That's all you, and having watched it now, I'm very, lucky to be able to associate myself with the work that you put into that video, so kudos to you.
Dude, I realize now I have to top myself with the next one.
It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, possibly. I did a lot on that one. But no, go check that out. It would mean the world to us if you would check that out, view it, give it a like. Let us know what you think about it in the comments below. Please keep it civil. Yeah, that's all I've got on the rigmarole side. Oh, also go follow us on TikTok, where we will be putting up new TikToks regularly, D plus us, plus spelled out. And yeah, Secret Invasion, episode 3, Betrayal. Mitch, normally I ask you what you think. I'm starting us off with this week. This episode was so good up until the last 5 minutes of this episode.
See, I thought the last 5 minutes of this episode were the strongest of the episode because it sets up so much for the future.
It sets up so much for the future. But god damn it, they keep fridging characters. You can't tell me that guy wasn't fridged.
Again, I don't think so. I'm convinced that was a fake out and that she reverted back to her scroll. Also full spoilers at this point. If you haven't watched the episode, go watch the episode, come back because we jump right into it on these ones. I do think that was a fake out so that she could get away from Gravik. It'll be interesting to see. Okay, again, I think because we don't see a body in the box that goes back to the U.S. I do still think that Maria Hill is acting as an agent in the shadows and doing stuff for Fury. Or we're going to get the debut of Daisy Johnson in the proper MCU and see Chloe Bennett show up as the actor who's been acting in the shadows for this sort of thing. I do expect to see Gaia again in that she, masked her own death by reverting back to her Skrull form and making it seem like she was dead. I mean, Gravik made mistake number 1 of trying to take someone out is he didn't double tap. He didn't aim for the head. So
I'm taking it at face value. I still think Hill's dead. I still think you're grasping at straws there. But I do think Hill. I do think Hill being so dead. Too. I think Hill is permanent dead to bring in Daisy. I am convinced that Daisy, even if it isn't Chloe Bennett, is coming in some regard. If it's not Chloe Bennett, we're fucking rioting.
100%. I've been rewatching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and prep for it, and we need it.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode coming soon. I love that show so much. We should really do that.
So it's goofy fun.
The problem about doing an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode though is that there's 7 seasons.
We'd have to do 10 minutes per season.
Seasons 1 through 3, then seasons 4 through whatever. Yeah, 2-parter. But no, I really wish they'd stop killing people, or frankly have a little bit more stakes behind it killing, because this does still feel like fridging to me. Even if she isn't even if she's alive, great. That'll be a unique twist. But from the moment we're at right now, with the information we have right now, this is a character that has, again, a female character has been killed to progress the story of male characters. And that is something I will never not have an issue with. Like, we are well past fridging characters. Why are we still falling prey to this very dumb plot device, especially when you have a character like Gaia who has been more interesting?
Yeah, and I think to that point, the marketing that went into this show was, it was heavily focused on Sam Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn returning to their roles as these characters for Sam Jackson from the entirety of the MCU, and Ben Mendelsohn returning to his character Talos from Captain Marvel, and the cameo we got in Far From Home.
Yes, nailed it.
But a lot of the marketing went into the fact that Colby Smulders and Amelia Clark were a part of the show. And Olivia Colman still, we don't get much, if any, of her in this. We get a little bit in this episode, which was fun. The banter about the owl is fun, but like,
oh yeah, the little eye patch that was hilarious to me.
Great little moment for her character, and I love it. But we had this promise out the gate of what seemed to be, from the marketing, something that was a group effort, let's say. And it has definitely become the Fury and Talos show. And while I'm curious to see where the story goes, I am still expecting that the ladies here are fridged for the purpose of plot that will be addressed down the line, or at least I'm holding out hope for that. Because otherwise, to your point, it does seem like a waste of these characters and these fantastic actors.
Even if it has the plot point, I still think it's a waste. Even if it narratively makes sense at the end, it feels like a waste to me. Especially killing Maria Hill still does not sit right with me. But at least Gaia, there's reasoning behind it. It's not just a end of the first episode, bang bang, you're dead. To set up the
She got a little bit of plot before getting.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason for her getting killed, and I do appreciate that they went enough with that. But it does still feel a little off, especially when we're going into Super Skrulls and we actually got to see Extremis in action. Which, man, if you had told me before this show that we would see Extremis again in the MCU, I would have laughed at you.
And it's used pretty effectively here.
Subtle, so perfect.
I appreciate the use of these lesser seen abilities to essentially just mimic the powers of the Fantastic Four, right? Like, you've got the Frost Giants or whatever with barrier creating abilities, I guess, with ice. You've got Groot abilities with Stretchy. You've got Cull Obsidian just being a beefy boy, and Extremis, which is fire powers. It is the Fantastic Four powers just framed within what already exists in the MCU, which I think is a smart decision to decouple it from the complex backstory between the Skrulls and the Fantastic Four. And I do hope that the Fantastic Four film, when it does come out, does retcon them into the Skrull continuity in some way within the MCU, but we'll see how that all
honestly,
plays out.
It'd be fine if they didn't, and they laid heavy on the multiversal travel aspect of the Fantastic Four. Give us something we haven't seen with the Fantastic Four. At least that we haven't seen movie-wise. But no, I love that we're setting up that Gravik is the Super Skrull, right? The Super Skrulls.
They're setting up that there's many Super Skrulls.
So
Gravik's already got his abilities.
Even in comics canon, right? There's many Super Skrulls, but there's one Super Skrull, right? Yeah. There is the original. There is the one who was referred to as the Super Skrull.
Super Skrull.
And I like that is Gravik. He's got this great fucking line at the beginning of this when he's talking to the council about it that I actually have here. The only way we can counter that and claim the planet as our own is become super ourselves. We change powers, we're going to become uniquely programmed weapons of mass destruction, all of us Super Skrulls. And that's such a thing of that should be so cheesy. That should be some of the most ridiculous comics bullshit that Marvel puts out, and it's not. It is legitimately threatening and intense and focused, and it's just props to that actor for just nailing that delivery.
Yeah, he's been a phenomenal villain throughout the show, and it's going to be kind of crazy when we get the reveal either in the next episode or the penultimate episode that Fury and Varro raised Gravik as their own son after his parents were killed, because that's 100%, like, the resemblance between the actor playing Gravik and Fury is undeniable, and you know that they're setting something up there. There is a more, like, there is a reason why this is personal for Fury, and it's because he's been as close to Gravik as he is over the years, and that realization is going to add volume to this conflict between the two characters. But I do still like, there's got to be more, like, and I mean the reveal at the end of the episode too. I don't know if you caught it, but the voice that Varro is talking to on the phone is it's Rhodey.
Rhodey, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like so
like, Rhodey
clearly
has been a
Rhodey.
Skrull. How long has Rhodey been a Skrull? Like, he is the mole inside the U.S.
I'm not sure
military.
I'm not sure he's a Skrull still. He very much could be a third party in all this. Because that's the thing.
He's a Skrull. 100% he's a Skrull.
I mean, okay, realistic, he's probably going to be a Skrull, but I can absolutely still see it being the U.S. government has to get involved because it's the U.S. fucking government. They can't not be involved in shit. And someone's got to she's going to try to put a stop to it in his own way, the same way that MI6 is trying to put a stop to it in their own way. And Fury's still here being Fury. And it all comes to a head and fucks up because, of course, it does. I like, though, that they finally got a win this week.
Yeah, I can't see a world in which Rhodey, like the character of Rhodey, is put as the lead of the Armor Wars project. I don't remember if it's still a Disney Plus show.
I think it's a movie now.
Film. I think so too, but they could have reversed that. I don't remember. Either way, like, you can't have him as the lead of that, coming off of this as the bad guy representing the U.S. government. You know what I mean? So I do think that they're probably it's going to be not necessarily a cop-out, but a way to still frame Rhodey as one of the good guys. He's been locked up in this basement of this complex in Russia for, I don't know, since the events of Civil War, since the events of Endgame. Like, when was the switch made is going to be interesting. And
it is a movie.
Still very, very curious.
It is a movie for sure.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a thing of, like, especially with like how Skrulls default back to their Skrull form when injured. It's going to have some major questions there, right? Of like, okay, what's really happening here? When did this all happen? If it's that, it's great, fantastic. I love it. But another thing with him that I really love, for what it's worth, with Rhodey in this, is that Rhodey is not putting the suit on. And it's a very specific choice, and it's probably the best choice they could have made with that character. Is to not make him put on the suit and make him do this by himself, make him do it as himself. Because he has so much more power as a politician than he does as the War Machine.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see more of that explored in Armor Wars for sure, of what pull he has outside of the suit and what inevitably pushes him into the suit.
Mm-hmm. Is it going to be Riri? Yes, it is. Mark my words.
No, it's going to be Justin Hammer.
I think Hammer's going to be one of the main villains, but
yeah,
I think Riri is going to be the one to, like, inspire him to be like, hey, fucking help me with this shit.
100%. 100% on that front. It'll be interesting to see what the conflict is. Like, how
all of this, for what it's worth, all of this assumption on a TV show that hasn't come out yet. I'm talking about Ironheart.
Okay, that we're
like,
still talking
all
about
of this,
Wars.
like, both. Well, I'm talking about both. Like, all of these assumptions are being built on shit that's not out yet. So could be entirely different than we realized. I don't know. Maybe I'll repaint my Iron Man helmet. Not actually going to repaint it. That would be a pain in the ass. But yeah, talking about Gravik a little more, I do want to talk some more about the showing of the extremist powers, particularly just that cafe scene in general being one of the best performances in this show, period. Like, everything with the painting. The painting in particular was, like, one of my favorite scenes of, like, this is how you can depict war between the generals and the soldiers. The generals have time for posing pictures.
For portraits.
portraits.
And the soldiers are out winning wars.
And dying. And his whole line about how he'd rather have his story written in blood was just so good. It was such a fantastic scene.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I mean, looking at this series as a whole, this is some of the best writing and some of the best acting we've had in the MCU in some time. And I love this darker, gritty, more like down to earth story. It isn't, the end of the world, everything's exploding in a colorful, in colorful blood and yellow aliens, and it's all set to Beastie Boy sabotage or something, right? Like there's weight
hey.
to the decisions being made. There's weight to the actions.
I'll have you
and
know,
there's weight to
everything should be
every
set.
conversation.
Everything should be set to Beastie Boys sabotage.
We've gotten too much Beastie Boys this year. I feel like we've been spoiled to Beastie Boys.
Fair enough. Let's see, we hit that stuff with that stuff, but yeah, like all the performances there, the use of scrolls in that scene was fantastic. I also love where it put Talos. Talos is on a warpath for his daughter, and obviously we're going to see more of that down the line, especially when he comes back with Fury.
Oh no! Like when we get the scene with the general, like that was something for me of like. He brings up his daughter and he immediately kills him and has this like, oh shit moment and has to find out this dude's passcode before the UN assembly I don't know what it was, but like until this plane gets shot out of the sky, it starts World War III.
Mm-hmm.
Like knowing there were scrolls on the sub that were even once it was aborted trying to get the strike hat, like, oh my God.
Dude, I thought for sure they were still going to pull it off.
Layers, Griffin.
I was legit thinking like, oh great, they canceled it. He's still going to fire. Like, thank God that they didn't. But no, I really love what they're doing with Talos and Nick and their togetherness. Like, having this not apology moment between them of like, both of them are too proud to ever say sorry to the other person because toxic masculinity. But
well, that and it like there are scenes, and I've noticed this throughout the show, and I wonder if there's another twist coming with Fury specifically. Like, we've gotten these interactions between Fury and Talos where sometimes it's like, you know, very mechanical, like very much, you know, direct or like directing a report, like a subordinate, like a working relationship. And then there are other conversations they have that are like an old married couple. And I wonder if we've actually been dealing with multiple Furies in this show. And that's how he's acting the way that he is and moving around as quickly as he is that it's not, there's more than one Fury operating on this mission. And I'm curious to see if he's got, because he's had these Skrull spies forever. So, like, why not? Like, and he was up on Sword for,
but can't
years.
Skrulls tell when you are? Actually, I guess Talos has proven that he can't always tell, so I could see it.
Well, and look at there's that scene too when they're leaving the museum when Gaia slips the burner to Talos, and like Gaia's looking suspicious as she walks away, and Gravik is following her when she's disguised as that old man, but like it's not that he could tell that she was a Skrull. It was just that this dude handed something off that he clearly saw and was suspicious.
I mean, I totally took that as like she's just rushing to get back, and we're just following it from that perspective. But
she was rushing to get back before he got back, but he was following because he saw that, or maybe he didn't see the handoff, but did see
he
the
did see that
interaction
suspicious
between
random.
the two.
Oh my God! People are firing off fireworks outside my window.
Happy 4th of July, y'all!
3 days late. Yeah. All right. It's past midnight for you.
I was gonna say, yeah. I forgot West Coast, worst coast. Am I right?
West Coast, still the better.
Ooh. East Coast, Beast Coast, baby. Let us know in the comments. Are you
like
team East Coast or team Worst Coast?
More like East Coast, least coast, but. No, yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm really interested to see where it follows up. Again, don't love Guy's story at the moment. Bringing it to the kind of the last major part of all of this, it's Nick Fury and his wife, Priscilla / Vara. I was fucking right. Wanted on the record that I was right.
Well, we were both right.
Not only was I right that he knew,
and she was a spy. Like,
not only was I right that he knew, I was right as to exactly which Skrull it was, Mitch.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, she is a spy. I think this is really interesting. This both like this one moment of like complete honesty between these two people. Of like they have no like illusions as to who each other are.
Yeah.
So they know who they are, what they're doing, that they are on opposite sides of this. And I think it's really, really cool. I love that they name dropped Dreykov in the flashback.
Yeah, that was fun.
And
almost like the name drop we got of Alexander Pierce last week.
Yeah, which presumably that's the intel that leads him into meeting Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
But I love this relationship they've got going here, whether it's in the house in their conversations, whether it's Priscilla on her own going and getting the gun and talking to very presumably Rhodey. Like, I'm curious as to how this one plays out. It's definitely an interesting angle to be taken to this, and a very good spot to leave us at halfway through the series.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I say this every time. Like, I'm disappointed we're halfway through, but at the end of the day, the story they're telling me has me coming back week to week, and I cannot wait to see how it concludes and what effect this has on the Marvels, what effect this has on the Skrulls in the MCU moving forward, what effect it has on Nick Fury. I need to know where we're going. And I say that every time. And I got to come up with something new and original to say, because I can't keep saying the same thing every time, even though it keep making me think the same damn thing every goddamn time.
Mm-hmm. I also just want to shout out Bob.
Oh, poor Bob.
Poor Bob. Shout out to Bob.
He cared about his, presumably, I don't know if the kid was also a Skrull. And they
I had assumed that was the actual dude's human son.
But because of the way that Skrulls interpret the personality of the folks that they're impersonating, I guess he cared about the kid. Because, like, if it wasn't his actual son, why did he care?
I don't know, man. Maybe he's still trying to keep his cover.
Maybe, I don't know.
It ultimately was one of those things that just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, why not? But yeah,
it's just a bit of a plot hole. Like, I would like to have known, but if we don't find out,
I don't think it's as far as the plot hole. I think it's just something dumb and little on the side that doesn't really matter.
Just a bit of a goof of, like, it doesn't, like, there was a couple of those moments, right? Like when Gaia is trying to escape from the complex, and I want to talk about some of the things I didn't like. Like, she's a Skrull. She's a master of disguise and doesn't disguise or do anything remotely intriguing at all. It's just like, I had a hidden bike and now I'm gonna use it and be all hidden and bike like, when, like, you could be a Skrull and be like a master of disguise and do disguisey things and fun, interesting things like what Talos did of infiltrating Bob's house, right? Like, we didn't get that same level of cleverness from Gaia, which I would have expected, because they're family, right? But
that reminds me, did you catch him calling him Nick?
No, not on my first watch.
Yeah, same. I was like, wait a minute, go back. Oh yeah, sure, shit, there he is. No, I think I'm fine with the Gaia thing personally. For me, there's bigger issues there than her pulling off a motorcycle, and they've already established there that, like, Gravik knows Gaia. Gravik can typically tell if it's Gaia, especially if Gaia's going to try to disguise herself as another Skrull. Like,
I guess, but it would have been more interesting if, like, she disguises herself as Gravik to leave the compound, and as she leaves, like, she is shot, and then we're like, oh my god, like Gravik, and it's not Gravik, and it's actually her. Like,
I feel like if they did that, they would have had to do it in a more public space and made it some more of like a chase than it was a reveal. Oh, he was waiting for her. This was all a setup just for them to take out their mole. Alas, we won't really know what's happening though until next week.
We won't know what's happening until probably well into the Marvels, to be fair.
Yeah, we probably won't know what's happening at the end of this show. Let us know what you think about the show in our YouTube comments. If you're listening to this, thank you for listening. Go check out the YouTube. There is going to be a link in the podcast description. If you're watching this on YouTube, hey, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, let us know what you think in the comments below. We will be back next week. That's right, folks. Next week with the next episode. What could it be? Well, we are all waiting to find out. We will see y'all.
Also, we should have an episode on Indiana Jones around the same time.
Yeah. We probably figure out a recording time for that. Also, I really want to go see it again. So,
do you need to, though?
Yeah, I love it.
And that's where I'll leave you on my thoughts on the movie until you come back to listen to the next full episode of the show.
Come to that episode. We will see y'all next time. But until then, have a magical day.
Excelsior.